Life Audio.
Today I'll talk about that. John goes to extreme lengths to stop his snoring and attracts some local females. Meanwhile, my poor eyesight almost causes a scene at the grocery store. Plus a conversation about letting go of our need for vengeance and our inclination towards moral superiority. Today's episode is not sponsored by professional wrestling. Ironically, less legitimate than amateur wrestling. But first, a word from our actual sponsor.
Johnny, it's that time of the week. It's talk about that. When everyone gathers around their radio like the days of old, just like the FDR's addresses. Fireside chats, if you will.
You have just lost us half our audience.
Wouldn't that be great, though?
People that gathered around.
That they listen to it together.
It's interesting seeing photos from that era. People look at their radio.
Yeah.
Have you ever done a double take at your radio when you hear something weird come out of it? Like if somebody says something on a radio show and you're like you look at your radio like, seriously, dude? And you're like, then you realize I'm looking at a device in my car.
Yeah, Johnny, I think that something's wrong with you.
Is that just me?
Yeah, I've never. Radio's talking to me.
You've never heard something come out of your radio and been like, dude, and you look at.
I don't think so.
Because you're looking where the sound's coming out?
No, I keep my eyes on the road, Johnny. Do people listen to a radio outside of their car?
Yeah, no.
That's a real question. Remember the old days you had the radio that you put out in the garage or whatever?
These are some old conversations we're having.
No, they're fine.
Remember back in my day?
I remember we used to walk to school both ways.
I remember when they finally got talkies at the cinema.
I remember my brother and I had one pair of shoes between the two of us. He'd wear one on Tuesday. Wait.
So I had a very humbling moment yesterday.
It's about time.
I'm in the Costco and was actually BJ's Warehouse.
Okay.
That's our
in Mount Juliet.
Our whatever you want to call it, our version of Costco.
Our Costco's opening in like 3 weeks. But
so I'm in BJ's Warehouse, which is a discount, one of those buy in bulk kind of places.
Yeah.
We joined, we get the thing. We've been twice. It's whatever. It's a place for middle-aged men to wander around. So we go there. I walk in. I don't wear my glasses except to drive.
Okay.
But I am very nearsighted. And it seems, I don't know if it's getting worse, but it's not getting better. And so I get in and I immediately go, I need to go to the bathroom. I need to. And so I look up and I'm looking for the signs. And across the way, I see a sign that I think says restrooms.
Oh, no.
And I said to my wife, does that say restrooms? And she says, no, it says optometrist. And so she goes, it says irony is what it says.
Why didn't that? Yeah, wow.
So that's when you.
Why didn't she just say yes?
I said, I'm going to stop off there. And then I storm in the optometrist's office. Can I use your bathroom?
That's great. Yeah, she should have played that for a second.
Yeah, she should have let it.
Sure, it says that.
She should have let it go.
But she's a nice person.
That's her problem.
She does.
I've been telling her for years, you're way too nice.
It really is. Your wife is too nice. And,
I don't know. John, I will tell you, it's that time of year. It's that time of, well, I don't know it's that time of year. It's that time of every 17 years when the cicadas, the 17-year brood.
Isn't it like there's two sets of them that come
at once? Two sets.
Once?
There's a 7-year. There's a 17-year, and every now and again, the broods kind of merge.
Yeah.
And then it's a plague.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know more about the cicadas, and I did some research.
Okay.
Because I was like, all right, because I think of them as locusts.
Right, I do too.
But they don't do damage at all. Cicadas, just so you know, if you're bothered by these and you're out there and you're like, cicadas, they're going to eat all the crops. Cicadas don't eat crops. They don't do any damage. They don't bite. They don't sting. They don't do anything. They live underground. By the way, they're alive for all 17 years.
Really? Just dormant?
No. They're living underground. They're eating some kind of fungus that grows on tree roots.
Huh.
And then they burrow holes. They know that there's a certain temperature that's reached and a certain thing that goes off in their instinct that they know it's our time. They burrow little holes in the ground and they come up. And now they live above ground. And it's only to mate and or be eaten. Millions and millions of them get eaten, of course. They're a food source.
Yeah.
But this is their time, and they live however much longer, and they lay eggs in the soil. Those eggs go down into the soil, and then they hatch, and then those cicadas live for 17 years below ground, in the basement, as it were. And some of y'all are out there waiting on your time. You've been eating tree root fungus.
Oh my goodness!
Waiting for your moment, and then you got to make the most of your moment. Are you going to be food for a squirrel?
You think squirrels
are you going to listen? Or are you going to make enough noise that you might get lucky? Because that's what I'm saying. That's what you're. Listen, it's the circle of life.
It's nature.
It's the cicada.
It's
but anyway, it made me think about something because I've known you for 20 plus years, right? Almost 30 years.
Yeah. Wow.
And you used to go home and work with your dad's landscaping company on the weekends when we were friends. And you weren't in school anymore, but you went home and you'd be like, I got to go make some extra money because we're broke. We were in a band together and we're broke.
Right.
So you went home one time and it was the last 17 year.
Wow.
Or maybe this was a 7 year, but I just remember that you said, these cicadas are attacking me.
It's because of the weed eater.
It's because of the weed eater.
Right.
And so
I sound like one of them. I'm on the mothership.
So I watched a documentary about cicadas, and I was learning all about them. Hey, they look menacing. They have these red eyes, and people anything that's a bug, people want to kill it.
It's a big bug.
It's a big bug. But they're totally fine, and they're very, they're harmless,
friendly.
completely harmless. Yeah. And they're just going to go up in the trees and wait and make a bunch of noise. But here's what I read, and I thought you might find it interesting. The male cicada is what makes all the noise. They use some kind of weird throttling thing in their husk or whatever they are, their thorax, to make this loud noise. And it is a mating call. And the female cicada that looks it's a different looking bug. They're smaller. They don't make a very loud sound. They are drawn to that sound. And what happens is, and they don't have great vision. They're using, other senses. And basically, the female cicada is just like, let me just find that noise, and I'm just going to go mate with it. So literally, when you were on the weed eater, what you were hearing was weed eater, but what the female cicadas were hearing was this. Yeah. To them, it was...
Wow.
It was time.
Wow.
So you were...
Wait, is this royalty free?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So I made sure. So what I'm saying is, John, when you thought I'm being attacked, you were being attacked.
Wow.
These cicadas were trying to make other cicadas with you.
My weed eater.
With your weed eater.
Yeah.
And they were settling on your neck and face and head. You said you had to pull a bandana above you, so they wouldn't get down your shirt.
Yeah,
But yeah, so I learned a lot about cicadas, but it made me feel good that at least because people go, because they said there's going to be 1 trillion this season, 1 trillion cicadas. It's the largest brood ever or whatever. And so, but I thought, well, you don't hear people going we're so worried, like farmers and stuff. And it's because they don't do damage to anything. They just mostly become a food source.
Can I tell you, I think the birds...
The birds must love it. They're like, it's a buffet.
We have noticed that there are bird droppings around our pool at a level there's never been.
That's what's going on.
Since we live there.
Yeah.
We can't.
Those were cicadas that have been.
We're taking the pressure washer to it, and before you can finish.
Yeah.
Laura bought these fake owls to put up to try to scare away.
I don't think. Yeah.
The birds.
I don't think.
But I was like, it has to be the cicadas. They're just. It's Thanksgiving.
It is. It's Thanksgiving.
They're in Vegas, going from buffet to buffet right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
These are your kind of birds. You're like, out at the pool, it just feels like I have to pressure wash constantly. What if you were a cicada? How would you feel now? You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
You're out there fighting for your life.
My goodness.
Just trying to
survive.
Mate with a weed eater.
Guys, that seems like a good place for us to take a moment and hear a word from a few of our sponsors. So you said that they make noise.
Yeah.
And we had this talk a little bit at lunch today, but I also am a male who makes a certain noise.
Yeah.
And that noise is snoring.
Yeah, I think it's time for you to get a sleep study, John.
Here's the thing. I don't think I snore that bad.
Once you tell, but sometimes people don't even snore. They have what they call episodes at night where they stop breathing.
Yeah.
And so I think it's worth having it checked out. Because when you told me about what you're going through.
It's not going through. And here's, to be clear.
How many apparatuses?
I think it's apparati. My wife doesn't
When you told me, I was
well.
like, yeah, John, if anybody else told you this story, you'd be like, get help. You would offer counseling.
Here's the thing. So sometimes I'll sleep in a different room and I'll be like, how'd you sleep last night? And she'd be like, I was up from 3 o'clock on. Like she's up anyway.
Yeah.
But if I'm snoring, it keeps her, it just adds to the possibility. And Enneagram sixes.
Oh boy. It's Enneagram
we
again.
hate being blamed. She doesn't blame me. I blame myself. Like I contributed. I don't want to contribute to the problem.
I think she blames you.
No, she really doesn't.
So I saw a TikTok video and it said, it was like the 2 types of partners, in as far as sleep, and one was like, the one guy goes, I woke up last night because someone in the next house opened a drawer.
Yeah.
And I couldn't go back to sleep. And then the other guy goes, I took a nap during the day and I slept 12 hours last night. I'm asleep right now. And the guy goes, really? Yes. Like that.
Yeah, that's, I can still, like if I be still, I can fall asleep. But, so I've done a few things. I've studied this.
Yeah.
And now Instagram knows.
That's different.
It's totally different. Instagram has a whole algorithm just for me.
Uh-huh. The sleep tricks.
Because I have bought
the habits and tips and
many
tricks,
things.
hacks.
One of them was that your throat muscles.
Hold on.
Much
No,
like
don't go there first. First of all, you started simple. You go, I got a cube pillow. And I go, all right, well, that's fine.
I have a cube
Supports
pillow.
your head more.
Yeah.
I've seen the cube pillow.
They're great.
It doesn't look comfortable to me, but whatever.
I like them.
You're laying on a cube. Okay, then you moved up. You go, also, I have this thing that opens my nostrils. I go, all right.
Well, it's a magnetic thing.
Like a breathe right kind of a thing. It opens your nostrils wide. Get that. You go, oh, you can't believe how.
But
I go, oh, that's
it's
wonderful.
different than the breathe rights because, yes, it's a magnet that pops it open.
Then you said, and also, I've been mouth taping. And I said, oh, like you tape your mouth shut. You go, yeah. I said, I've heard of this, but how does it deal with like the facial hair around the mouth?
It's fine.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm just using it's just, I just bought it at Target or whatever. Like it's just
I go, so you have taped your mouth.
Yeah. Tape my
got
nose.
your nostril taped open.
Yeah.
You have a cube pillow that's like some wonky,
I do.
crazy pillow. And then you go, then.
I put a hood on.
Got a hood on.
Yeah.
You go, then I got a neck brace. I go, okay. All right, hold on.
Number one, I just have poor posture. So part of me wants to not bend over, but it's supposed to keep your neck from like compressing over.
If somebody sent a photo of you at night sleeping, I would be like, how much do the kidnappers want? If someone broke into your house, they would think this person's already been assaulted. Next house.
Move on. Well, to be clear, I only do all that when we're traveling.
Yeah.
Which we did a lot of travel for
Right.
volleyball. We did like 11, 12 trips. And so I'm in a hotel room and we have to get up at 4 or whatever.
That's a lot. What is this straw thing?
Well, the straw thing is your throat muscles, apparently, they get lazy at night. And so you do
Too
this,
relaxed.
Right.
You don't want to be relaxing when you're trying to sleep.
Just
These stupid throat muscles aren't doing their job. They're making noise. Cicadas are flying in the window trying to...
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's got this straw developed by a doctor.
Oh, boy.
And it basically, you put this thing on the roof of your mouth, and as you just drink regularly, it works your throat muscles.
I can't wait till you find out this doctor's like a PhD. It's not a real. It's just a guy.
I did it for
My
like
dissertation was on taking people's money.
That's right. I did it for like a week, but I was like, this is too much. I can't do this forever. It takes a long time to drink that way. And it really worked. Makes your throat like burn like which is what you want.
That's what you want. You want burning throat.
You feel like Anyway, I will say this, and I do a sleep app called Better Sleep. And it records me. And I will say, when I have all those things on, I was just on a trip with my wife, which was glorious. I barely snort at all. It just sounds like breathing. It was great, Johnny. So it's working.
Can I just say, a sleep test would help you know if you're going to die from sleep apnea. So maybe you should do it. You're a father. You're a husband.
I'm going to die from that. Probably.
You're not the only income earner for your family, but I mean, you do bear some. They would miss you.
You think?
So like you're buying all these you're putting perfume on a pig over here. You bought a bunch of brackets and you're just...
You could say that a lot. You could use that analogy with me in a lot of ways. Every time I get dressed, you could say, John's just putting perfume on a pig.
But
Isn't it lipstick on a pig?
I've heard perfume on a pig.
I think you're just trying to alliterate. You're going too far.
Perfume on a...
Yeah.
Yeah. What you're doing is you don't want to get a sleep study because they're going to tell you need a CPAP machine and you don't want it because it makes you an old person. It's like buying a minivan. That's an old man's minivan.
Yeah.
Like old women want an SUV. They don't want a minivan. And you do not want a CPAP because it means you're officially that guy.
I'm not going to do it, I don't think. But I'm going to keep losing weight and maybe that'll help.
Mm-mm.
You don't think?
Who's the loudest snorer we know?
It was, Andrew Wharton.
Andrew Wharton. And how much does he weigh?
$130.
90 pounds. Soaking wet.
Yeah. But I'm different, Johnny. I'm sure it's going to be different. It can't be age. You think it's aging? I don't know. Here's the thing. I'm open to the idea.
You didn't expect to get medical advice from me?
There is one
But
more.
John, I'm going to hold you to the fire.
There's
here.
one more device that I may get.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be it's not.
It's a clothespin that goes.
You're going to love it. It's
boy.
not approved by the FDA, by the way.
Oh, I like it already.
Yeah. But it is this thing. It's supposed to, they call it a CPAP.
Uh-huh.
Even though it's not approved.
Oh, boy.
Basically, it's this little thing, and it's got two nostril,
Oh, I've seen those. It's called like mute or something.
and you stick the nostril things up your nose, and it's a fan. So it's blowing open all your nasal passages, supposedly. I don't know. I may try that next. So, anyways, if you guys are running the algorithm, just know.
It's fine. I mean, there's whole like scientists and medical professionals that have machines that could tell you whether or not you desperately need this machine that could save your life, but...
You keep acting like it's...
You go ahead and buy something for $20 from Big Lots and stick it in your face and see if that helps.
It is helping. I'm sleeping well when I...
In another room. You could sleep in the room with your wife.
I slept in the room with my wife all last week, and it was great. That's what I'm saying. So I had a few devices on. You know what I'm saying?
What if I could tell you Laura said it wasn't great? Laura, come on in.
I had the recording for it. Hey, John, I think it's that time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's time for us to muse over the words of others who have wisdom.
Oh.
And see how we can reflect upon such
People
wisdom.
other than us.
Yeah, we call it, they talked about that. Johnny, today, Tim Keller.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
The late, great Tim Keller.
The late, great. I mean, man, what a loss. And also just, what I love about writing is that I told Reggie Dabbs this after his first book. I was like, man, someday, we're going to die, but as long as this book's in print, your story will keep speaking, and that's what's beautiful about it. So this was, I do his, I don't do it every day as I should, but I'm read it from his Proverbs devotional. So it's really more of a passage that I quote today. But he's talking about angry people, and it's from Proverbs 20:22. Do not say, I'll pay you back for this wrong. Wait for the Lord, and he will avenge you. And he's talking about this is not just anger that is justified because something's wrong. I think it's okay. Anger in itself is not a sin. Mm-hmm. He's talking about anger that you dwell in, that, seeks vengeance. And he said, an angry person of that nature seeks to pay someone back for something done either to him or to someone else. This requires a sense of having the high moral ground. The angry person tells himself that he would never do what the other person did. He feels that this gives him a warrant to inflict insult or pain on the other. And he goes on to say that basically only God has enough high moral ground to actually exact punishment or vengeance. God also has the power to do so in the time and manner that might lead them to repentance, Romans 2:4, and you don't have that.
Yeah.
So if a true wrong has been done to you, he will avenge you. You don't have to. And I just thought, it reminded me of my journey through recovery, because it was a huge, huge thing. And this morning I was feeling, there are things in my story and journey that are still painful with people where I feel betrayed or I feel, it's not really unforgiveness as much as it just goes with me. I think everybody probably feels that. And I think it's just part of being human. And part of walking with Jesus is constantly dealing with those things. I mean,
there's scars. It feels still a little unresolved, even though you've resolved it on your end, but it still can feel a little bit, there's residue there.
Right. And there may be things in the scriptures say, as much as it depends on you, be at peace with everyone. And sometimes, you've done all you can do. Mm-hmm. Or there's that idea of, I'm going to run into this person, am I resolved? And that's one of the ways I want to be at peace with people is, if I see you in public,
Yeah.
I don't want it to be awkward. We can just greet each other and be okay. So I was working through that, but man, that really returned me to the place of when I feel, and by the way, Enneagram 6s love to go through the ideas in their head of what they would say.
Yeah.
Do you do the sort of hypothetical arguments?
Oh, sure.
in your head?
Yeah.
And you say all the things you would say, and you anticipate what they would say, and you have an answer for this and that.
Curry walks in the room while I'm doing it. She's like, who are you talking to?
Absolutely. Well, the shower is what I did a lot. And if I go deep enough into, I call it hypothetical hypnosis, I will be speaking out loud sometimes.
Yeah.
Maybe not loud enough
And
to
you
be
got
heard.
the coffee in there with you.
Well, you got to.
Got to have the shower coffee.
I do a lot of weird things with gadgets.
John's got a problem.
Yeah, it's
I
interesting.
don't know why you can't sleep. I take a hot shower before bed and have a cup of joe.
But I just think it just removes that stinger a little bit to think,
Yeah.
okay, I can still be hurt here, but what I don't want to do is wish harm. In fact, in the today's I read, it was like, actually, how can I do good to them? How can I do good? And one of the things is to pray for them. And it immediately removes the stinger because it reminds me, I may not realize in any time I seek vengeance, I am seeking it under the assumption that I have the right moral high ground in a way that someone else doesn't. And the gospel just says, I don't.
Yeah, we talked about that before. That's kind of an issue like that's happened with the polarization of people politically in the world. And just like, it feels like it's getting a little more ramped up than ever. But I think it all comes from our need to feel morally superior to another group. I mean, that's how you could divide up like North versus South, red versus blue states, big cities versus small towns. It used to be you would read a story and it'd be like the city mouse and the country mouse. And it was kind of cute. The city mouse teaches the country mouse a lesson. The country mouse. Now it's like the city mouse hates the country mouse and thinks the country mouse is a hillbilly. The country mouse thinks the city mouse lives in a dangerous area where he's going to get shot.
Yeah.
And constantly just talks bad about it. It's like, we don't learn lessons from each other because we have to have moral superiority in some way. So we're not learning. We're not sitting down and listening.
Yep.
We've already made up our minds. We have prejudgments, and it keeps us from growing.
Well, it's that anatomy of peace idea, too, from the Arbinger Institute, and that is that when I do that to the city mouse or the country mouse, then I make someone an object that is a detriment to where I want to go. They're an obstacle to me, as opposed to, again, think about the city-country thing just with people, how much I know people, we live in a rural area near a city, and they often just believe that, especially if you go north, that the New Yorkers are literally bringing down society. That's now one big group. I don't know. I'm not naming a person.
Yeah.
Certainly not speaking with a person. I've made an object out of them that's an obstacle to me. And in doing that, I don't have to actually know them.
Right. You can boil them down. They're bite-sized now. You don't have to think about them as real people. And so, like you said, it's dangerous when you're talking about unforgiveness because what you can do is you can start justifying any manner of things.
Yep.
That's how wars happen. You just go, well, these aren't human.
Yep.
These are people who are enemies of the state. And so then it becomes very easy to justify anything you want to do.
When I hear politicians in the modern age use words that Nazi Germany used, like vermin and words like that, that was what that was. And over time, it may just sound like language. But if you
rhetoric is
if
dangerous.
you can speak about an immigrant and you can call them something that makes them not human, or you can speak about a conservative or a liberal and make them something that sounds not human, then you're only desensitizing yourself. And society shows us where that goes. It doesn't always go to a Nazi Germany outcome. But I think from a scriptural standpoint, it certainly says I am taking a superior, higher ground approach to these people who, to me now, I'm the real person and they're subhuman. So, yeah, interesting.
It's good stuff, John.
Well,
let's learn to forgive. Let's let God fight our battles for us, shall we, dear listeners? John, let's go all the way back. This week in history, we call it Talk About Then. John, this week, 1987, the worst movie ever made. This is as voted on. It was one of the original box office flops. It would become synonymous with box office flop. It starred Warren Beatty and Dustin Hoffman. Do you remember the movie? This was a little before your time.
No.
You were born, but you weren't going to movies and thinking about it. Ishtar.
No.
It had a production cost of $55 million. It made $14 million at the box. $55 million back then was huge.
Well,
I mean, 87 money? Come on, man.
Jeez.
Although you couldn't make anything for $55 million now. But I mean, Marvel movies cost like $400 million now. Although it maintains a strong cult following, many call it the worst movie. I think of a lot worse movies than that. I mean, I've seen some bad. I used to watch those B horror movies that were just like, Ketchup for Blood and just like the worst slasher. I mean, just so I've seen Ishtar's, Academy Award winner compared to stuff I've watched. So I differ with that. But it became synonymous with. I don't know. I grew up around movies and I worked in a movie theater. It's where I met Curry. So I love like thinking about what the studios spent versus what they're recouping. I don't know why. Somewhere on my generation and then the generations after that, we think about that more than we should probably. Yeah. And it's an odd thing.
Right. Like, we don't just enjoy the art anymore. We
go, well, what did it do? We want to be a part of a winner. I think that's part of what it brings out in our thing. Like if we know a movie is not doing well, then we're like, well, I'm not jumping on that train. It's really odd.
Yeah.
Like, even if you were really curious about it.
Like, well, I liked that movie, but you wouldn't say that if you found out everyone
Well,
else
you know what?
hated
I
it.
just saw The Fall Guy, and it was very good.
Okay.
Ryan Gosling, I would highly recommend it. And evidently it's not doing well, but no movies are doing well. And people are like, oh, didn't Ryan Gosling follow up Barbie with a... It's like, who cares? It's good.
Right.
It's really good and well done. It's clever.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I enjoyed my experience at the movie seeing it. And it's like, but you have to think about like, well, what does the tomato meter say? Shut up. Tomato meter says shut up. By the way, it has a good tomato meter. Right?
Oh, okay, good.
You should go see The Fall Guy. Not a sponsor.
There you
go. World War II, John, this week, May 15th, 1942, gas rationing. 17 eastern U.S. states began rationing gas. The purpose, did you know this? The purpose was not just to conserve gas, but also to conserve what, John? Rubber. There was a shortage of natural rubber as Japan had conquered many of the rubber-producing regions of Southeast Asia. I figured you would know this. Nationwide gas rationing would begin the following December. Other measures that would be taken to conserve fuel and rubber included a 35-mile-per-hour speed limit. This is 1942, so who knows how fast the cars were really going then. Known as the Victory Speed Limit. It was called the Victory Speed Limit, I guess, because they banned new car sales.
Wow.
I love that they branded it the Victory because it's like if we don't speed, we might win the war. Everybody, what an interesting bit of propaganda. Banning of new car sales, banning of all forms of automobile racing, including the Indianapolis 500. So there's probably a gap there where they would have had the race and didn't have it because of this going on. So interesting stuff. And as you know, now we got more gas than we know what to do with. And it's a very reasonable price, which I find lovely. DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak, John. Joe DiMaggio, Joltin' Joe, began his legendary 56-game hitting streak. It ended July 17th after 91 hits for a 408 average. This record is still standing as the longest hitting streak in Major League Baseball.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
Where
crazy.
have you gone, Joe DiMaggio?
Oh, my goodness. That's a lot of hits.
It is a lot. And, John, finally, this week, 1817, the first psychiatric hospital in the U.S., and it makes the list because of the name. The Religious Society of Friends, the Quakers, in Philadelphia, opened the, quote, asylum for the relief of persons deprived of the use of their reason.
Oh, wow. It says what it is.
It is still open, now under the name of Friends Hospital.
Okay.
I like the rebrand.
It's a good change.
The rebrand was probably, hey, where are you staying at? I'm at the Asylum for the Relief of Persons Deprived of the Use of their Reason.
And how would I register for that? Go to the asylum for the .com.
Asylum for the Relief of Persons Deprived of the Use of their Reason.org.
That's, you couldn't even put an ad out because it would take the whole ad. That's
anyway, Friends Hospital's better.
Yeah.
It's a little more.
Right. Just says.
Yeah, it flows better.
Yeah.
I felt deprived of the use of my reason more than once.
Many times.
Sometimes you're in the shower with a cup of coffee and you feel like, where has my reason
you
gone?
are talking to people that aren't there and you're like, what is happening?
You're looking at the radio funny.
Right. You're taping your mouth shut.
Cicadas are attacking you. You're like, I've lost my reason.
Guys, maybe you feel like you're looking for more reason yourself and you want to go back and listen to more episodes like this.
Give me one reason to stay here. Go to talkaboutthatpodcast.com where you can find over 300 archived episodes.
It's a lot.
for those long car trips with your fam.
Yeah.
We promise to keep you entertained.
Yeah. You should also check out Johnny's tour dates right now at Jonnie W, JONNIE. I know it's hard. I know that he made it complicated.
I apologize.
JONNIEW.com.
New tour dates going up on the regular. I just finalized a trip back to Arkansas because I was just in Arkansas at the beautiful Grove Comedy Club. And they're having me back in January for a whole weekend of shows.
Wow. So
those were fun. And I got to meet, I'll talk about it next week, but I got to meet one of my comedy heroes, a comedy legend. And so stay tuned for that next week. That's what we call in Radio Land a tease.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
They're on the edge of their seats, all listening together.
They're looking at the radio like, what?
Hey, guys, we appreciate the time you gave us this week. Hey, let's do it again next week, huh?
Talk about that.